Hey everybody, we're back to go ahead and clean this display we just removed from our iPhone 6. Now I understand you probably won't have to watch this entire video, but I'm going to show you the entire process that I use. I'm going to use some isopropylene alcohol and isopropyl alcohol and then some Goo Gone if it gets really tough to get off. It seems like they used a little bit of a new adhesive on these screens. It can be a little bit trickier to get off. So basically just work your way in a corner. It's using a microfiber cloth. Make sure there's no glass fragments on it as you do this. If you have glass fragments, then it can damage your screen or scratch it. A lot of local will fill that up, but sometimes if the scratch is too deep, it definitely won't. So you can see that this isopropyl alcohol can be a little bit tricky. When you use this little tiny bit of Goo Gone, this stuff really breaks down adhesive, and it works wonders on this optical clear adhesive here. You can see how much faster it goes compared to the alcohol that I just put on it. Now you don't want to squirt this all over the display. If you put too much on, it can seep into the backlight, and you'd have to replace that or live with shadowing in the back, which is a little bit tricky to do. Any of this real big steep stuff, you can use a nylon spudger and spread out a little bit. And then if you use your cloth after you've done that, it'll come right up. A lot easier than just rubbing it in a circle 1,000 times. So you probably get the point at this, so if you've seen enough, you can go ahead and skip to the next one. Really the goal is to clean all this off with Goo Gone or any other adhesive removal. I like this because it's a little bit thicker. And then to clear it, clean it off with isopropyl alcohol or acetone. Acetone can work well in clearing up a display as well. Now if you spread on a thin amount of Goo Gone onto the display, let it set for a few seconds, a lot easier to start to remove off the display. The trick is just not to put too much on. That will cause it to sometimes seep into the backlight, like I was saying, and you get shadowing. Becomes a little bit bigger process. You have to involve a soldering iron to get that removed. I have an iPhone 5 backlight replacement, so if that does happen, you can check that out. It's basically the same process. And if I do end up having to change a backlight, I'll post that video on here as well. Let's give it a few seconds to sit. You'll see that it'll make a little bit of a difference when it comes to removing it. Another good tool to use is one of these plastic razor blades. These work pretty handy for this particular thing in removing the adhesive off the screen because it's got a nice flat blade. I wouldn't necessarily use a real one. You'll damage your polarizer underneath. A real razor blade, but any nylon tool can be helpful. Even you could try to use a playing card as well. Try to get as much off as you can. That will make it cleaning it a lot easier. You can see much faster it comes off once you get that kind of top layer off of it. Use the same method again. So this time I'm just using a little bit of isopropyl alcohol to kind of clean it up a little bit and see what's really still on the display. It's going to be a little bit of a tedious process, but the goal here is to get it as clean as possible. And I can give you almost a streak-free cleaning, but it will take some time to do this. So I think it took me about 15 minutes to really clean it up nice. I'm going to spread that Goo Gone on top of what's left up here at the top. Now it does seem like it has a better backlight on it than the 5. It's a little less prone to seeping in. Get as much of this glue off as possible. Go ahead and take our razor blade and start cleaning this again. Now be careful not to damage too far above the LCD where the LCD stops. You don't want to hit this ribbon cable up here. That's your touchscreen ribbon cable or your LCD ribbon cable. So be careful with that. Make sure you stop just right at the edge of the display itself. Don't go further than that with the razor blade. So we're getting pretty close to being done. a little bit more in here in the corners. You want to make sure you get up here across the top. A lot of times you'll see little tiny specks or streaks across the top up here, so make sure you do a good job of cleaning up all the edges. Just don't put a lot of liquid on the edges. That's when you get the seepage into the backlight. So now I'm using just the isopropyl alcohol. Well, you want it to be 90% or higher. So make sure you get the corners nice and good. That's where a lot of the issues or mistakes happen on these display cleanings, is right around the edges. Alright, now we've gotten to a point where a lot of the glue's off. I'm going to start using a new rag here. That way I don't get any glue retransference back onto the screen. It seems to start happening. It gets really kind of clogged up. So we'll use a new rag here towards the end just to get it nice and polished and clean. Like I say, make sure you work your way across the top. There's nothing there. Alright, now that we have it nice and shiny, let's go ahead and test this on our phone and see how it looks. I just got to clean up my workstation here a little bit before I put that display back down. A little bit of alcohol on it. Clean it right up. Alright, so here we have our chassis. Let's go ahead and put our display on. And really what we're looking for here is just any backlight seepage. See if anything's kind of snuck in the back of it at all. That's something we're going to have to replace. Alright, Apple logo is a good sign. So this was a cleaning video. If you found it helpful, go ahead and hit the like button. If you have any questions about what was done, go ahead and throw in the comments. We'll be asked to answer those for you. If you want to see any future videos, I'll throw all the rest of this down in the description. And you can always subscribe to see future phones as well. There we go. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next video.